Mastery begins with letting go. True strength lies not in controlling everything, but in discerning what is within your power and releasing what is not. Letting go becomes the gateway to mental clarity, inner peace, and resilience. Create space for what truly matters. By removing both physical clutter, minimalism, and mental noise, Stoicism, we make room for depth, intention, and meaningful pursuits. A simplified life is not an empty one. It is a deliberate one. Discipline over distraction. Stoicism invites the cultivation of willpower and self-discipline, not to repress desire, but to live by chosen principles rather than society's shifting expectations. Greatness is rooted in personal mastery. Mental toughness is not optimism, it's preparation. The goal is not blind positivity, but a trained mind that can endure storms. Stoicism builds cognitive models that anchor you during adversity and give you composure when life turns chaotic. Peace comes from within, not circumstance. When you understand how to manage your thoughts and actions, you gain unshakable peace. Stoicism teaches that true happiness cannot be taken from you because it never depended on external factors. Minimalism is not aesthetic, it's philosophical. Minimalism isn't about white walls or bare rooms. It's about shedding excess to reclaim focus, time, and emotional presence. It is a life rooted in purpose rather than possession. Let go to reclaim yourself. Both Stoicism and minimalism share a core practice: release. One teaches the release of emotional attachment, the other, material dependence. Together, they strip away illusion to reveal what truly matters. Intentional living is the antidote to chaos. Minimalism trains you to ask, does this add value? Stoicism asks, is this within my control? Both lead to intentional decisions that align with your deeper values instead of reactive living. Less clutter, more clarity. Clearing space, physical or mental, heightens focus, enhances creativity, and allows deeper reflection. Simplicity becomes a force multiplier for both thought and action. Quality over quantity. In all things, whether in relationships, possessions, or use of time, depth beats breadth. Minimalism shifts your value system from accumulation to appreciation, and Stoicism reinforces this by urging you to invest in virtue over vanity. Financial and emotional freedom go hand in hand. Minimalism fosters financial responsibility and reduces consumer-driven anxiety. Stoicism complements this by building emotional detachment from status, fear, or loss, offering freedom on both fronts. Minimalism is a tool, not a rule. It's not about deprivation or rigidity, but customization. A minimalist life adapts to your values and needs. It's about keeping only what sustains meaning, not obeying arbitrary limits. Philosophy as personal liberation. Both philosophies offer a path away from cultural conditioning. They help you unlearn programmed desires and rediscover an authentic sense of purpose, one anchored in integrity and wisdom. Happiness is an internal standard. Happiness doesn't arise from acquisition or achievement, but from alignment with nature. Stoicism with purpose, minimalism, and with Eastern philosophies. Inner congruence breeds lasting joy. Virtue is the highest good. For the Stoics, happiness equals virtue, courage, wisdom, temperance, and justice. These qualities are not taught, they're trained through life's tests. Your responses, not your results, define your success. Embrace adversity as training. Challenges are not obstacles, but opportunities to practice philosophy. Stoicism reframes hardship as a forge that strengthens the soul and purifies the will. Let simplicity become your superpower. In a world obsessed with more, choosing less becomes revolutionary. Both philosophies empower you to find joy, strength, and fulfillment in simplicity, not scarcity but sufficiency. Detachment is not indifference, it's power. Non-attachment in Stoicism and Eastern thought isn't about emotional coldness, it's about freedom from fear, from loss, from neediness. It allows you to love and live more fully without clinging. Reason is the Stoic's compass. Logic and reflection guide a Stoic life. Where emotions mislead, reason clarifies. where reactions dominate. Reason intervenes. It is not the absence of feeling, but the mastery of it. Awareness transforms action. Journaling, reflection, and mindful decision-making aren't rituals. They are radical tools. Stoic awareness fosters emotional resilience. Minimalism sharpens it into action. Simplicity is a rebellion against modern noise. These philosophies are countercultural in an age of overload. They call you to reclaim your time, mind, and soul from algorithms, trends, and superficial metrics of success. This journey is not linear, it's Minimalism and Stoicism are not destinations. They are evolving frameworks that support lifelong transformation, designed to grow with you as you change, stumble, and rise again. Merge the outer and inner minimalism. Minimalism clears your surroundings. Stoicism clears your mind. Together, they produce a life that is orderly in form and grounded in essence. One supports the other. Living with virtue is living in harmony with nature. Both philosophies and their Eastern parallels urge harmony with your inner nature and with the world around you. When your life is aligned, struggle gives way to flow. Let philosophy be your mirror, not your mask. You are not asked to imitate a Stoic or minimalist aesthetic, but to live a life of deliberate, courageous authenticity. These teachings are mirrors to reflect your deepest truths. Radical self-ownership. Imagine waking up one day and realizing that no one is coming to save you, but instead of despair, you're filled with raw power. Radical self-ownership is the act of claiming your life with both hands. It means no longer outsourcing your identity to your upbringing, society's expectations, or other people's opinions. You're not a fixed product of your past. You are a fluid process, continuously sculpted by the decisions you make. This shift is both terrifying and exhilarating. It strips away excuses, but in return it grants you true autonomy. The psychological liberation that comes with owning every part of your life is unmatched. You stop seeking external validation and instead become your own standard. Responsibility becomes your liberation, not your burden. It's the beginning of a life lived not in reaction, but in authorship. The art of non-attachment. To practice non-attachment is to reclaim your peace. It doesn't mean apathy. It means clarity. You begin to sort what's within your control, your mindset, your actions, your boundaries, from what isn't, how others respond, what fate brings. This discernment is revolutionary. It disentangles you from emotional chaos and grants you inner sovereignty. Imagine facing rejection or failure without crumbling because you know your worth isn't tied to outcomes. This practice isn't cold detachment, it's warm focus. It's the act of choosing where your energy flows and gently releasing what you can't shape. It allows you to stay grounded in a world constantly shifting and to love more freely without possession or fear. Sacred selfishness, a self-love. We're often taught that to think of ourselves is selfish, but this conditioning breeds burnout and resentment. Sacred selfishness reframes self-care as a moral responsibility. When you prioritize your own needs, your rest, your peace, your passions, you aren't turning away from others. You're building the inner resources to show up with strength and sincerity. You learn that boundaries aren't walls but bridges. They protect your energy so you can love sustainably. Real love, the kind that endures, comes from a full cup. You become someone who gives not from obligation, but from overflow. This is a radical act in a world that rewards self-neglect. Honoring yourself becomes the foundation for a life of authentic connection. Embracing life's absurdity. At first glance, the idea that life has no inherent meaning may feel bleak, but in truth, it's profoundly liberating. When you stop waiting for the universe to hand you a purpose, you realize you're free to create your own. This is where existential rebellion begins. Not with despair, but with a fire to shape something beautiful in the face of nothingness. You become the artist of your own existence. Your choices, no matter how small, become acts of defiance against nihilism. Meaning is not stumbled upon. It is handcrafted through love, work, struggle, and play. This mindset shift ignites courage and creativity. When nothing is guaranteed, everything becomes a canvas. Death as your ally. We avoid thinking about death, but when we finally face it, something astonishing happens. Life sharpens into clarity. Knowing that time is finite transforms how you spend your days. Petty dramas lose their grip. Procrastination turns into urgency. Every conversation, sunset, laugh, and quiet breath becomes imbued with sacredness. Death isn't the enemy. It's the reminder that makes life vivid. It becomes a wise mentor, whispering, "Don't waste this." When you allow death to walk beside you, not behind you, you begin to live on purpose. You stop sleepwalking through your days and start treating each moment as a miracle. Adversity is initiation. Pain changes you, but it doesn't have to break you. In fact, it can build you. Adversity is the hidden doorway to resilience, wisdom, and depth. When you face hardship, not as a victim but as a participant in your own evolution, you shift from powerless to powerful. Every challenge becomes an initiation into a deeper version of yourself. You begin to see that suffering isn't punishment, it's training. It humbles the ego and strengthens the soul. Those who have walked through fire carry a kind of gravity, a quiet confidence that only life's tests can forge. You stop asking, "Why me?" and start asking, "What is this shaping in me?" Emotional alchemy. Emotions are messengers, not dictators. When anger flares, when fear grips, when anxiety clouds, these aren't failures. They're signals pointing to unmet needs, unhealed wounds, or misaligned priorities. Emotional alchemy is the practice of transmuting raw feelings into insight and fuel. You pause, breathe, and interrogate the emotion. What is it telling me? What story am I believing? In that space between stimulus and response lies your power. Instead of being ruled by moods, you become a skilled interpreter of your inner landscape. This is not emotional suppression, it's emotional mastery. The energy that once triggered destruction now powers growth, crafting your North Star. Purpose isn't some mystical thing you find lying on a mountaintop. It's something you build brick by brick through daily intention. When you align your life with your deepest values, not what society praises, not what your parents wanted, not what Instagram glorifies, you start to feel anchored in a chaotic world. Your North Star might be quiet at first, a sense of justice, a need to create, a desire to serve, but when you give it consistent attention, it starts to burn brighter. Purpose isn't flashy, it's persistent. It helps you say no to distractions, endure difficulty with meaning, and wake up with a sense of direction. You become less reactive and more deliberate. Your legacy is not one grand act. It's a series of small, value-aligned choices that echo long after you're gone. The now, as your only domain. The present moment is the only terrain where real life happens. The past is just memory. The future is only potential. But most of us live trapped between them, haunted by regret or consumed by anticipation. When you reclaim your attention and root yourself in the now, you begin to truly live. Mindfulness isn't a wellness buzzword, it's a radical act of rebellion in a distracted world. You start noticing details, the way sunlight hits a wall, the warmth of a friend's voice, the taste of a ripe fruit. Life stops being something you rush through. It becomes something you savor. Each moment becomes both the journey and the destination. And in that space, free from mental time travel, you find peace, clarity, and joy that isn't dependent on achievement, the discipline of desire. We live in a culture that worships more money, more stimulation, more speed. But true abundance doesn't come from accumulation. It comes from discernment. The discipline of desire is learning to want what nourishes, rather than what distracts. It's understanding that fulfillment isn't the same as indulgence. You pause before chasing the next shiny thing and ask, is this a true need or an impulse to escape? This practice cultivates sovereignty. You become harder to manipulate, less easily seduced by superficial rewards. Gratitude deepens because you see how little you actually need to feel whole. In this restraint, you find a strange paradox. Fewer cravings, more contentment. You stop being a consumer of life and start being a conscious participant in it. The journey is awakening. Travel isn't just movement across geography, it's a sacred disruption of the known. When you step out of your routine, you expose yourself to new stimuli, cultures, and perspectives that jolt you awake. The unfamiliar landscape forces you to confront assumptions, reawaken wonder, and adapt in real time. Whether it's a solo hike through a forest or a trip to a foreign city, the outer journey mirrors an inner one. You shed the layers of identity you thought were essential, only to find your core self waiting quietly underneath. Movement becomes meditation. Nature, in particular, has a way of recalibrating your nervous system, reminding you that you're not separate from the earth, you're of it. In the act of getting lost, you come home to yourself. You are the universe awake. This is the deepest truth that all the above culminates in. You are not a speck in the cosmos. You are the cosmos, briefly aware of itself. Inside you is the same intelligence that births galaxies, grows trees, and beats your heart without instruction. Your rationality, your creativity, your capacity to love and build and transform, these are not mundane qualities. They are divine echoes. When you align your life with this truth, loneliness dissolves. You stop seeing yourself as separate or insignificant. Life becomes a collaboration between you and the universe, not a fight against it. Every act, writing a poem, helping a stranger, facing a fear, becomes a sacred dance with existence. You are stardust learning how to sing. You are the universe, awake and becoming. Mastery begins with letting go. True mastery of life does not begin with addition. It begins with subtraction. The ability to let go is not weakness. It is the highest form of psychological strength. Most people spend their lives trying to control everything, outcomes, people, the future, only to find themselves anxious, reactive, and disempowered. Stoicism teaches us that control is an illusion when applied outward, but a superpower when applied inward. You control your perceptions, your responses, your thoughts. Everything else, traffic, criticism, financial loss, betrayal, belongs to fate. Learning to release our grip on the uncontrollable frees us from suffering. It's not a passive surrender, but an active liberation. In real life, this might mean accepting a job loss without letting it define you, or forgiving someone without needing an apology. Letting go becomes a daily practice, a habit of mentally releasing what weighs you down, so you can rise stronger, lighter, and more focused on what truly matters. Create space for what truly matters. In a world full of noise, the rarest resource is space. Mental, emotional, and physical. Minimalism and Stoicism both teach that clarity is born not from adding more, but from removing the unnecessary. When your room is cluttered, your mind is cluttered. When your mind is overwhelmed, your soul suffocates. Creating space is not about making things look pretty, it's about designing your environment and mind to support your values. Psychologically, space fosters calm, creativity, and focus. It allows your attention to rest where it's needed most. In practice, this might mean clearing your workspace to improve concentration, limiting social media to reclaim time, or walking away from draining relationships to protect your peace. It's not about emptiness, it's about intentionality. You strip away what distracts you so you can build a life aligned with your purpose. In that space, you rediscover yourself. Discipline over distraction. Discipline is freedom in disguise. While modern life seduces us with endless distractions, notifications, cravings, trends, Stoicism offers an anchor, a code of living rooted in timeless values. The Stoic doesn't wait for motivation. They train their will to act according to principle, not impulse. This mental discipline isn't rigid, it's empowering. It helps you resist momentary temptation in favor of long-term peace. In psychological terms, it builds executive function, the ability to pause, reflect, and choose. In real life, this could mean waking up early to work on a dream, saying no to fast gratification for the sake of your health, or standing firm on your values even when society pressures you to conform. Discipline is not punishment. It's the structure that allows your true self to flourish. Without it, life becomes reactive. With it, you become the architect of your destiny. Mental toughness is not optimism. It's preparation. Stoicism doesn't ask you to be blindly optimistic. It trains you to be resilient. It's not about pretending life is good when it isn't. It's about preparing your mind to face difficulty without collapse. Mental toughness is the result of premeditatio malorum, the Stoic practice of envisioning what could go wrong so that you are never surprised or overwhelmed. Unlike toxic positivity, which avoids pain, Stoic toughness embraces reality and rises above it. You don't get crushed by adversity because your inner world is fortified. In real terms, this means being emotionally stable during rejection, staying grounded when plans fall apart, or holding on to your purpose during grief. It's the quiet strength that lets you say, "This too shall pass, but I will not." The Stoic mind is prepared, not panicked. That's where unshakable confidence comes from. Not fantasy, but readiness. Peace comes from within, not circumstance. The core of Stoic philosophy is this: happiness is an inside job. External events are unstable, but your internal world can be made serene. This peace is not fragile. It cannot be taken because it is not given by the world. We often chase security through success, relationships, wealth, or control, only to find these things are subject to change. Stoicism offers a different route. Cultivate inner virtue, manage your reactions, and remain rooted in what no one can touch: your character. In psychological terms, this is internal locus of control, the belief that you have power over your life regardless of what happens to you. In practice, it shows up in people who remain kind under pressure, calm in chaos, and joyful in simplicity. This kind of peace doesn't wait for perfect conditions. It creates them from within. It's the calm eye in life's storm. Minimalism is not aesthetic. It's philosophical. Minimalism is often misunderstood as an aesthetic trend, but its true essence is philosophical. It is not about living with less for the sake of trendiness. It's about living with less to experience more. At its core, minimalism challenges the belief that more is better. Psychologically, clutter, whether physical or digital, bombards our senses, divides our attention, and clouds our emotional state. Minimalism asks, what if the problem isn't that we don't have enough, but that we have too much of what doesn't matter? When applied sincerely, minimalism becomes a spiritual practice of clarity. You keep only what serves a function or sparks genuine joy. In daily life, this may mean reducing your wardrobe to items you love, clearing your schedule to prioritize family, or letting go of mental scripts that no longer serve you. Minimalism, then, is not sterile, it's sacred. It makes room for meaning. Let go to reclaim yourself. The world trains us to hold on to possessions, identities, expectations, and fears. Yet liberation often begins where attachment ends. Stoicism and minimalism converge on this powerful insight. Letting go is how we come home to ourselves. Letting go of resentment restores your joy. Letting go of comparison reawakens your self-worth. Letting go of excess allows space for your soul to breathe. Psychologically, non-attachment builds emotional agility. It frees us from being controlled by our reactions or cravings. In practice, this may look like forgiving someone without needing justice, releasing a dream that's become a prison, or decluttering items tied to a former version of yourself. Letting go is an act of courage and clarity. It's how we reclaim our energy, rewrite our story, and realign our life with truth. Intentional living is the antidote to chaos. In a world ruled by algorithms, urgency, and endless input, drifting is the default. But drifting is dangerous. It leads to a life filled with regrets, not meaning. The antidote is intentional living, choosing daily to align your time, energy, and decisions with your core values. Minimalism asks, does this object, activity, or habit serve your purpose? Stoicism adds, is this within your control? Together, they form a compass. Psychologically, this sharpens your sense of agency and reduces decision fatigue. In practice, intentional living might mean scheduling time for reflection instead of passive scrolling, curating friendships that nourish growth, or building a career that serves your inner calling, rather than just your resume. The result isn't a perfect life, but a deliberate one, And that's where power, peace, and purpose meet. Less clutter, more clarity. In both the physical and mental realms, clutter acts as a thief, stealing your focus, your peace, and your ability to live deliberately. When your environment is overstuffed, your mind mirrors that chaos, constantly pulled in a dozen directions. But the moment you start clearing space, you regain control over your awareness. Psychologically, simplicity reduces cognitive load and anxiety, making room for deeper thought and heightened creativity. It's not just about tidying up, it's about giving your mind the silence it needs to hear your own truth. In real life, this might mean cleaning out a closet, deleting apps that sap your attention, or letting go of commitments that no longer resonate. What emerges is a sharpened sense of direction. Simplicity becomes a force multiplier. What used to overwhelm you now becomes fuel for focused action and thoughtful living. Clarity, not clutter, becomes your default. Quality over quantity in all things. Modern culture tempts us to pursue more friends, more likes, more achievements, but rarely do we stop to ask whether more makes us feel alive. Minimalism shifts that equation entirely, encouraging us to trade excess for essence. When we prioritize quality over quantity, our lives become deeper, not wider. One profound relationship is worth more than 100 shallow ones. One well-worn, beloved item brings more joy than a closet full of trends. Stoicism backs this up by asking us to pursue virtue, not vanity, depth, not display. Psychologically, this reorients our value system from external validation to internal fulfillment. In practice, it might look like choosing to spend your evening in meaningful conversation instead of attending a crowded social event, or investing your time in one purpose-driven project rather than scattering it across endless distractions. When you embrace quality, life stops feeling scattered and starts feeling sacred. Financial and emotional freedom go hand in hand. True freedom is not just about having money in the bank. It's about no longer being owned by the need to prove yourself through spending or status. Minimalism helps break the consumerist loop by focusing on sufficiency rather than excess. You stop buying things to fill emotional voids and start aligning your spending with your values. The result is financial breathing room, but also emotional liberation. Stoicism deepens this shift by freeing you from attachment to wealth, status, or fear of loss. Emotionally, you become harder to shake because your worth isn't tied to what can be taken. In real life, this looks like resisting the pressure to upgrade when your current car works fine, or choosing experiences over things because meaning now outranks image. The two philosophies together form a powerful antidote to modern anxiety. You gain the financial clarity to make wiser choices and the emotional resilience to be at peace with less. Minimalism is a tool, not a rule. The beauty of minimalism lies in its flexibility. It's not a rigid doctrine, but a personalized approach to meaning. It asks what truly supports your purpose and what simply clutters your life. That answer will differ from person to person, and that's the point. A minimalist life is not about counting items or living in blank rooms. It's about living intentionally. Psychologically, this makes minimalism sustainable because it's rooted in your values, not some external benchmark. For some, this could mean owning very few possessions. For others, it could mean curating only what enriches their spirit. You might keep a messy art studio because it feeds your soul, while discarding obligations that drain it. This mindset frees you from perfectionism and invites you into alignment. Minimalism becomes a compass, not a cage, guiding you toward a life built on clarity, meaning, and freedom. Philosophy as personal liberation. We are all shaped by invisible scripts, cultural ideals, societal expectations, inherited beliefs that quietly dictate our behavior. But Stoicism and minimalism together offer the tools to unlearn these scripts and live by design rather than default. Philosophy becomes an act of personal revolution, one that liberates the mind from shallow pursuits and reorients it toward lasting purpose. Stoicism teaches us to separate what we can control from what we can't, reclaiming our power in the process. Minimalism urges us to ask, do I want this, or was I taught to want it? Psychologically, this is a form of cognitive clarity. It helps us become conscious of our motives, so we can choose them instead of being ruled by them. Real-world liberation might look like leaving a high-paying job that suffocates you or shedding toxic relationships that no longer reflect who you are becoming. In doing so, we don't lose ourselves, we finally find ourselves. Happiness is an internal standard. In a society obsessed with achievement, happiness often feels like a finish line, always one promotion, one purchase, or one partner away. But Stoicism and minimalism both dismantle this illusion by rooting happiness in alignment, not acquisition. The Stoics believed that to live according to nature was to live in harmony with your rational self and moral compass. Minimalism suggests a similar harmony, living in sync with what truly matters, not with what impresses others. Eastern philosophies echo this by emphasizing self-realization and detachment. The psychology here is profound. When your inner values guide your life, you reduce cognitive dissonance, which is a major source of modern unhappiness. In practice, this might mean living in a modest home that brings peace, rather than debt, or choosing slow mornings over the constant rush of productivity. The joy that comes isn't loud or flashy, but it's unshakable, because it wasn't given to you, it was grown from within. Virtue is the highest good. While the modern world idolizes talent, results, and recognition, Stoicism reminds us that none of these define the worth of a life. What matters is not what you achieve, but how you live. Virtue, courage, temperance, justice, wisdom is not a slogan, it's a practice, and it is through daily trials that this practice is shaped. You become just not when justice is easy, but when it costs you. You become courageous not when you're unafraid, but when you act despite fear. Psychologically, this builds moral resilience, a life rooted in inner integrity rather than external applause. In the real world, this might look like speaking up for what's right at work, choosing honesty over popularity, or exercising restraint when anger would be easier. Virtue becomes your metric for success, not because it pays off materially, but because it makes you whole. And wholeness is the foundation of true happiness. Embrace adversity as training. Life's pain is not punishment, it's preparation. To the Stoic, adversity isn't something to avoid, it's something to harness. Challenges, whether emotional, financial, or relational, are not threats to your peace, but invitations to deepen it. Like fire tempers steel, adversity tempers the soul. This shift in mindset transforms how we suffer, no longer as victims but as students of life. Psychologically, this reframing builds emotional flexibility and post-traumatic growth. In practice, this could mean seeing heartbreak as a mirror to your deepest values, or viewing failure not as a dead end, but as course correction. Stoicism turns difficulty into discipline. It invites you to ask, what strength is this calling me to develop? And in that question, you reclaim your power. You stop wishing for ease, and you start training for impact. Let simplicity become your superpower. In a culture built on constant consumption, the choice to simplify isn't just unusual, it's revolutionary. Choosing sufficiency over excess challenges every marketing message, every social media highlight reel, and every internalized belief that tells you more is better. But when you redefine abundance as having enough, not everything, you take back your power. Simplicity becomes your shield against distraction and your engine for joy. Psychologically, this shift reduces decision fatigue, elevates gratitude, and creates emotional space for presence. You start focusing on what actually matters, your health, your relationships, your growth, instead of chasing illusions. Real-life application might be as simple as reducing your wardrobe to what you love, or saying no to commitments that dilute your energy. What others call sacrifice, you experience as sovereignty. The less you carry, the further and freer you move. Detachment is not indifference, it's power. There is a deep misconception that detachment means apathy, when in truth, it's a higher form of love. Detachment doesn't ask you to feel less, it asks you to cling less. It's the ability to care deeply without being controlled by outcomes. In Stoicism and Eastern traditions alike, detachment empowers you to love with clarity, act with courage, and live with presence. When you stop gripping tightly to people, things, or expectations, You stop suffering needlessly from their inevitable change. Psychologically, this builds emotional immunity, protecting you from the highs and lows of reactive living. In real life, it means showing up fully in relationships without demanding permanence, or pursuing dreams without letting failure define you. It's not that you care less, it's that you finally care freely. Detachment is love and life unshackled. Reason is the Stoic's compass. Where chaos reigns and emotions flare, the Stoic turns inward to the calm light of reason. Not to deny emotion, but to navigate it wisely. Reason is not the enemy of feeling. It's the filter through which feelings become insight, not impulse. In a moment of anger, fear, or anxiety, reason pauses the spiral and asks, is this in my control? Is this worth my peace? This practice of rational reflection is central to Stoic training. Psychologically, it builds metacognition, the ability to think about your thoughts, which leads to better decision-making and reduced reactivity. In real terms, this might mean stopping before you send that angry message, or stepping back to consider the broader picture before reacting to a disappointment. Reason doesn't mute life, it amplifies your ability to live it skillfully. With it, you move from being a puppet of circumstance to a conscious author of your fate. Awareness transforms action. It's one thing to live, and another to know you're living. Awareness is the bridge between who you are and who you're becoming. Through daily reflection, journaling, and mindful observation, you stop running on autopilot and begin designing your life with intention. For the Stoic, awareness is essential to self-governance. It reveals your values, exposes your contradictions, and invites consistent refinement. For the minimalist, awareness filters out noise and leaves only what truly aligns. Psychologically, this cultivates self-regulation and resilience, enabling you to respond instead of react. In everyday life, this may look like pausing to reflect before you purchase, checking in emotionally before you speak, or evaluating whether your actions match your values. Awareness doesn't paralyze action, it perfects it. When you know yourself clearly, you move through life with grounded power. Simplicity is a rebellion against modern noise. Today's world thrives on overstimulation, feeds, alerts, ads, and endless demands on your attention. But every time you choose to simplify, you're staging a quiet rebellion against overwhelm, against consumerism, against the myth that your worth is measured by output or possessions. Both Stoicism and minimalism offer a radical counter-message that peace, not productivity, is the truest success. Psychologically, simplifying reduces decision fatigue, digital burnout, and existential anxiety. It allows the soul to breathe. In practice, this might mean deactivating notifications, decluttering your social media, or reclaiming quiet mornings from the chaos of news cycles. These small acts are not insignificant. They are declarations of sovereignty. In a world that profits from your distraction, your clarity becomes a threat. Simplicity becomes not just a preference, but a form of resistance, and ultimately, liberation. This journey is not linear, it's lived. Both Stoicism and minimalism are not systems you master once and for all. They're living frameworks. They grow with you, shift with your seasons, and meet you exactly where you are. Some days, simplicity feels like power. Other days, it feels like struggle. Some moments, detachment is easy. Others, it breaks your heart. And that's the point. These philosophies are not checklists. They're companions for an evolving life. Psychologically, embracing non-linearity fosters self-compassion and resilience. You stop beating yourself up for setbacks and start seeing them as part of the spiral upward. In real life, this looks like revisiting your habits, releasing guilt when you slip, and recommitting daily to your values. The path is not straight, but it is sacred. With every fall and every rise, you deepen your practice. You are not failing, you are becoming. Merge the outer and inner minimalism. Minimalism isn't just about clean counters, it's about a clean mind. When your outer world is simplified, your inner world finds space to breathe. And when your mind is still, your surroundings become more intentional. Stoicism purifies the internal, clearing out fear, ego, and illusion. Minimalism handles the external, removing clutter, distraction, and noise. Together, they create a powerful synergy. Psychologically, this inner-outer alignment fosters congruence, reducing the cognitive dissonance that often creates anxiety. In everyday terms, it might mean maintaining a calm space that reflects your inner peace, or cultivating a calm mind that allows you to live peacefully amid chaos. The harmony between the two allows for a deeper presence in life. Your home becomes a sanctuary, your thoughts a refuge, and your actions a reflection of your highest values. Life begins to feel not only cleaner, but clearer. Living with virtue is living in harmony with nature. Virtue isn't just moral, it's elemental. It's about aligning with the deeper rhythms of existence, with nature, with truth, with your inner essence. The Stoics believed we are fragments of a larger order, and when we live according to that order, through courage, wisdom, and justice, we experience harmony. Eastern philosophy echoes this with its call to live in Tao, or the flow of life. When you resist this harmony, you suffer. When you align with it, you thrive. Psychologically, this alignment leads to coherence, a state where your values, actions, and sense of self are integrated. In life, it could look like choosing sustainability over convenience, fairness over gain, or humility over ego. Living in virtue is not rigid moralism, it's natural grace. You stop fighting the current and start flowing with it. And in that flow, life feels whole, meaningful, and beautifully alive. Let philosophy be your mirror, not your mask. Philosophy isn't a performance. It's a process of uncovering. You are not meant to mimic a Stoic or wear minimalism like a trend. These teachings are not uniforms to hide behind, but mirrors to reveal who you are at your core. They challenge you to strip away the layers of societal conditioning, ego and fear, so that what's left is you, deliberate, authentic, courageous. When philosophy becomes a mask, it becomes dogma. But when it becomes a mirror, it leads to liberation. Psychologically, this demands radical self-honesty and integrity. In real life, it means saying no to spiritual posturing, owning your contradictions, and living what you profess. You don't have to look like a Stoic, you just have to live with intention. You don't have to declutter perfectly, you just have to clear what keeps you from your truth. Philosophy then becomes the most sacred of tools, not to make you someone else, but to help you come home to yourself. Unification is a lifelong journey of integration, not perfection. Both Eastern and Western philosophies urge us to take the first step toward a more unified life, one where simplicity, harmony, and wisdom replace chaos and clutter. This path is neither easy nor linear. It demands sacrifice, discernment, and conscious compromise. But in return, it offers something deeply rare, a life rooted in meaning, happiness, and a nourishing connection with the world. The journey is less about adopting a rigid ideology and more about discovering your personal equilibrium, your middle way. Minimalism begins with intention, not restriction. The philosophy of minimalism teaches us to live with purpose, to choose quality over quantity, and to strip away the distractions that dilute our clarity. It's not a deprivation, it's a refinement. Misunderstandings about minimalism often frame it as a rigid or joyless lifestyle, but in truth, it invites us to discover mental clarity, financial stability, and a lighter environmental footprint. It's a form of inner hygiene that declutters the psyche as much as the home. Stoicism is not emotional suppression, it's emotional mastery. Stoicism, born from the wisdom of ancient Greece and Rome, calls for a radical shift in how we face adversity. Rather than eliminating emotion, it asks us to refine it with logic and virtue. The Stoic ideal isn't cold detachment, but deep strength. The ability to stay calm, clear, and committed in the face of pain, uncertainty, and even chaos. The teachings of Seneca, Marcus Aurelius, and Epictetus reveal timeless tools for transforming suffering into strength and reaction into response. The power of minimalism and Stoicism lies in their convergence. Though different in origin, these two philosophies align in their shared pursuit of simplicity, focus, and inner peace. Minimalism declutters the outer world. Stoicism declutters the inner one. Their combined power helps us craft a life free from excess and guided by values, not trends. They both challenge the noise of modern life and invite us into deeper self-awareness and intentional living. These philosophies are not abstract. They are daily practices. Minimalism and Stoicism are more than intellectual ideas. They are tools for action. From organizing your physical environment to managing your thoughts and decisions, these disciplines can be applied in every moment. You are not just learning how to think, you're learning how to live. Real-life examples prove that adopting even a few of these principles can lead to measurable transformation, less anxiety, more clarity, and a stronger sense of purpose. Eastern philosophies deepen and broaden the minimalist Stoic path. As the journey expands to the east, we find philosophical echoes in Buddhism, Taoism, Hinduism, and Confucianism. The middle way, Tao, Dharma, and the doctrine of the mean all emphasize balance, non-attachment, and alignment with a deeper order. These are not new truths, but ancient confirmations that simplicity and virtue are universal paths to peace. Together, they form a global chorus of wisdom urging us to live less from ego and more from essence. Let this be your beginning, not your conclusion. The end of the video is not the end of your journey. Rather, it's a starting point for living and experimenting with these teachings. There is no one right path, only the path that brings you closer to your truth. Continue to learn, unlearn, and relearn. Plant ideas like seeds in your mind and tend them patiently. Your life can become a flourishing garden of purpose and alignment, shaped by intentional practice, not passive consumption. What truly lasts is invisible to the eye but deeply felt by the soul. Material gains, social praise, and fleeting success cannot define a meaningful life. What endures is the quiet contentment born from integrity, self-respect, and alignment with values. A life built on simplicity, virtue, and purpose will outlast the loud but hollow victories of the world. The legacy you leave is not measured in things but in the clarity, courage, and compassion with which you live. Marcus Aurelius embodied the Stoic ideal, not in theory but in action. As Emperor of Rome during one of history's darkest times, the Antonine Plague, Marcus Aurelius did not retreat into despair or luxury. Instead, he turned inward to the core of Stoic teaching, finding strength not in power but in personal virtue. With a nation collapsing around him, he practiced and modeled unwavering courage, self-discipline, and compassion. He didn't merely survive the chaos, he led through it. His life was proof that philosophy is most valuable not in comfort but in crisis. True leadership is rooted in inner governance. Aurelius's reign teaches that effective leadership isn't about control over others, it's about control over self. When disease, fear, and economic collapse ravaged the empire, he looked not outward for rescue, but inward for resolve. He led his people through the darkness by first leading his own mind. His example reveals a timeless truth. When external structures fall, the structure of the soul must hold firm. This is the Stoic path, leading by embodying the values you wish to see in others. Real happiness and power are inward achievements, not external acquisitions. Aurelius, following Epictetus and Seneca, saw virtue as the only unshakable source of fulfillment. The plague taught him and us that health, status, and success are fleeting. What remains is character. He found stability in values like justice, wisdom, and self-control. In doing so, he transformed tragedy into triumph. Not because he changed his fate, but because he changed his perspective. This shift from external attachment to internal grounding is the core transformation Stoicism offers. Adversity reveals, not weakens, the soul. Stoicism turns suffering on its head. Instead of viewing hardship as punishment, Aurelius viewed it as preparation. Trials were opportunities to test one's virtue, sharpen one's judgment, and deepen one's resilience. Even while facing death and despair, he chose to be a source of strength for others. His philosophy wasn't escapism, it was radical engagement with reality, showing us that the worst of times can bring out the best in us when we live with conscious discipline. Stoic strength isn't the absence of feeling, but the presence of depth. Though Marcus endured profound loss and pressure, he never lost his humanity. His writings reflect not suppression, but sober reflection. He felt pain, but did not let it rule him. His calm was not detachment, it was commitment to a higher order. This balance is the essence of Stoic emotional maturity, to feel fully but not be governed blindly. In this he remains a model for emotional intelligence born from philosophical clarity. Daily practices of reflection, gratitude and moderation build the Stoic soul. Marcus wasn't just born wise, he cultivated wisdom. Through meditative writing, physical discipline, and mindful awareness, he trained his character like a warrior trains the body. He taught that journaling your values, checking your impulses, and tending to your duties, however mundane, are acts of self-governance. In a world ruled by distraction and indulgence, his discipline remains revolutionary. These small daily acts become the architecture of inner fortitude. Mind mastery is the core of Stoic power. Aurelius taught that the world may break your body, but only you can surrender your mind. By learning to observe, question and reshape your thoughts, you gain sovereignty over your emotional state. This is not denial of suffering, it's empowerment through clarity. His famous words, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength," are more than poetic. They are a blueprint for emotional resilience in any era. Resilience is born from radical acceptance and right action. For Stoics, the path to peace lies in accepting what cannot be changed and courageously acting on what can. Aurelius lived this truth through military failure, personal grief, and civil instability. His strength came not from blind optimism, but from wise clarity. He faced what was real, adapted to it, and acted with intention. His resilience was not luck, it was practiced. This kind of practiced acceptance is what allows the human spirit to endure and rise. Differentiate what is within your control and what is not. Epictetus's foundational lesson is disarmingly simple, yet life-changing. Peace begins the moment we stop trying to control the uncontrollable. Our opinions, desires, and actions are ours. External events, reputations, or the behavior of others are not. Internalizing this distinction rewires how we respond to stress, loss, or failure. Instead of being tossed around by circumstances, we learn to anchor ourselves in personal responsibility. This shift frees us from helplessness and anxiety, replacing them with empowerment and clarity. You become unshakable not by fixing the world, but by mastering your inner world. Desire less, suffer less. Epictetus warns us that most suffering comes not from reality, but from the mind's cravings and aversions. When we desire what is not in our power or fear what may never come, we create inner conflict. He invites us to reduce unnecessary desires, not out of denial but to attain freedom. Detachment from outcomes, possessions and praise doesn't mean apathy. It means you reclaim your peace from the chaos of constant wanting. Minimalism and Stoicism converge here. The less you need, the more unbreakable you become. Freedom is living in harmony with nature and reason. For Epictetus, freedom isn't doing whatever you want. It's wanting only what aligns with nature and reason. Our nature as rational beings is to live wisely, justly and in harmony with others. Anything else is bondage to impulse, to ego, to the crowd. True liberation comes from aligning your will with the structure of reality. Instead of resisting life, you flow with it, choosing to respond with wisdom rather than react with emotion. This redefinition of freedom shifts your compass from external liberty to inner sovereignty. Suffering is a teacher, not a curse. Life's trials are not punishments, they are training grounds. Epictetus viewed hardship as the gymnasium for the soul, each challenge a test of your discipline, patience and character. Like an athlete strengthens muscles through resistance, you build inner strength through adversity. This mindset alchemizes pain into growth. Instead of asking, "Why me?" you begin to ask, "What is this teaching me?" This transformation of mindset doesn't eliminate suffering, but it dignifies it, turning it into a sacred part of the path toward virtue. Your judgments, not events, disturb you. One of Epictetus's most empowering insights is that it's not what happens, but how we interpret it, that determines our emotional response. A loss, an insult, a failure, they have no power until we assign them meaning. If you can change your judgments, you can change your life. This truth restores agency where we feel victimized. It teaches that the key to peace is not external control, but cognitive clarity. Reframe the story, and the suffering recedes. Perspective becomes your superpower. Don't seek to be admired, seek to be virtuous. The desire for validation enslaves us. Epictetus cautioned against seeking praise or recognition, for it binds your self-worth to others' approval. Instead, he urged the cultivation of quiet, inner excellence. Be content to be good, rather than to seem good. This humility is not weakness, it's spiritual strength. When your aim is virtue, not image, your life gains integrity and depth. You stop performing and start becoming. Practice before preaching. Philosophy is action. To Epictetus, philosophy is not an intellectual game. It is a way of living. He criticized those who could speak eloquently about Stoicism, but failed to embody its principles. The real test is not how much you know, but how you live when life tests you. Do you stay calm in conflict? Are you generous in hardship? Do you follow reason when others panic? This is where Stoicism becomes real, not in books but in behaviors. Walk the talk and wisdom becomes flesh. Prepare your mind daily. Repetition is transformation. Change is not a single moment of insight, but repeated practice. Epictetus taught that just as we train the body, we must train the mind through daily routines, reflection, journaling, meditation on principles. These habits fortify your moral muscles. By rehearsing how to respond to loss, insult, or temptation, you become less reactive and more deliberate. Eventually, virtue becomes second nature. Discipline is not drudgery, it is the path to freedom. Live simply so nothing can be taken from you. Epictetus lived as a slave, owned nothing, and yet claimed he was freer than emperors. Why? Because he needed nothing to feel whole. This radical independence of mind, heart, and material forms the Stoic armor. When you own little, little owns you. When your joy is not in things but in truth, you become invincible. His example reminds us that the more we simplify, the more secure and grounded we become. Let philosophy shape your character, not just your opinions. The final and most powerful lesson from Epictetus is this: philosophy's purpose is to transform you, not to make you sound wise, but to make you be wise. Let it shape how you love, how you forgive, how you lead, how you endure. In each moment, ask, what would a wise person do? This question, asked sincerely and lived repeatedly, reshapes your identity. Over time, philosophy stops being something you study and starts being who you are. Master what you control. Release what you cannot. Peace begins with clarity, knowing where your power ends. You cannot control traffic, illness, or the behavior of others, but you can always choose your response. This insight shifts you from victimhood to agency. Instead of drowning in regret over missed opportunities, you rise by adapting with grace. You build emotional resilience by surrendering illusions of control and focusing on effort, not outcome. This is the essence of inner freedom. Embrace fate with a courageous heart. Stoicism teaches that life unfolds according to a rational order. To align with this truth is not resignation, it is wisdom. When you accept what happens as part of a greater unfolding, you reduce suffering and awaken to a deeper peace. Even setbacks, a cancelled vacation, a missed chance, can become opportunities for growth if approached with acceptance, gratitude, and adaptation. The lesson: joy is not found in events, but in your relationship to them. Virtue is the highest good. Build your character, not your resume. Happiness is not found in wealth or recognition, but in the consistent pursuit of moral excellence. By living according to the 4 Stoic virtues, wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. You align your life with something indestructible. Every moment offers a test. Return the lost wallet or pocket it. Tell the truth or tell what's easy. Choosing virtue over comfort builds a life of integrity, self-respect, and lasting fulfillment. Detach from possessions and external outcomes. True wealth is inner strength. Stoicism doesn't ask you to renounce the world, but it does ask you to hold everything lightly. Jobs, money, praise, relationships. They can vanish. If your identity depends on them, you are always at risk. Detachment means finding joy in who you are, not what you have. When your happiness is self-generated, no one can take it from you. That is ultimate freedom. Self-discipline is the foundation of personal freedom. Freedom is not doing what you want. It's mastering your impulses, so they don't control you. Stoicism emphasizes self-control as the path to integrity and excellence. Discipline means saying no to short-term pleasure for long-term growth. Whether it's diet, procrastination, or temper, each small act of mastery builds the kind of person you are proud to be. It is through structure that true liberation emerges. Use reason to dissolve fear and anxiety. Fear is often a lie whispered by irrational thinking. Stoicism teaches that most anxiety stems from distorted beliefs, not reality. If you fail publicly, you won't die, yet we act like we will. By questioning irrational thoughts and replacing them with truth, you disarm the enemy within. Focus on the present moment, not imagined catastrophes. When the mind is calm and rational, courage naturally follows. Treat others with empathy. Every person is fighting their own battle. You cannot live virtuously without love. Epictetus and Marcus both remind us, behind every face is a heart, carrying unseen burdens. Kindness is not weakness, it is spiritual maturity. Listen deeply. Validate sincerely. Practice compassion, even when you disagree. By lifting others, you lift yourself. In a divided world, empathy is revolutionary. Criticism is a mirror. Use it wisely, but don't let it define you. Not all opinions are worth absorbing. Learn from feedback, but remain anchored in your values. If there is truth in a critique, grow from it. If not, release it. Do not let the approval or disapproval of others dictate your self-worth. Emotional resilience grows when you no longer need everyone to agree with you. Stay rooted in self-awareness, and you'll weather all storms. Resilience means rising, not resisting. Life will break you or shape you. Stoicism teaches that adversity is not the enemy, it is the forge. Setbacks are not signals of failure, but invitations to grow. Embrace the pain, learn from it, adapt, and return stronger. Don't resist change, transform through it. Resilience is not avoiding suffering, it's transmuting it into strength. Reflect daily. Self-awareness is the engine of transformation. Without reflection, growth stalls. Each day, take time to examine your thoughts, actions, and reactions. Were you aligned with your values? Where did you stumble? What can you do better? This practice of introspection sharpens the soul. It helps you live deliberately rather than reactively. Over time, it turns philosophy into identity and wisdom into instinct. Perception shapes reality. Master your lens, master your life. Everything you experience is filtered through your perception. Marcus reminds us, what you see isn't truth, it's your interpretation. You are not disturbed by events, but by your judgment of them. By questioning your mental narratives and seeing with clarity, you change your entire world. The power to transform pain into purpose lies not in external circumstances, but in internal framing. Choose your lens wisely, for it becomes your world. Accept what you cannot change and love it. True peace arises not just from tolerance, but from wholehearted acceptance. Life will bring loss, change, and people you never asked for, but Stoicism asks you to meet it all with love. Amor fati, love of fate, is not fatalism, it's spiritual empowerment. Accepting reality as it is allows you to stop resisting and start evolving. To love the present moment, even when it's painful, is to reclaim your power from complaint and regret. Focus on the present. It's all you ever truly own. The past is memory, the future is imagination. Only this moment is real. Marcus urges us to come home to the now, where action, awareness, and life exist. By anchoring yourself in the present, you dissolve anxiety and find clarity. The mind wanders to what-ifs. Stoicism brings it back to what is. Let the now be your sanctuary where worry dies and wisdom awakens. Cultivate humility. You are a small part of a vast whole. No matter your titles or accomplishments, you are just one thread in the fabric of time. Marcus, an emperor, constantly reminded himself of his mortality and insignificance in the grand design. This humility isn't self-negation, it's liberation. You don't have to carry the world on your shoulders. Recognize your place. Do your part and let go of the need to be more than human. From humility springs both peace and clarity of purpose. Practice empathy. See others as extensions of yourself. We are all fellow travelers in life, equally fragile and flawed. When someone wrongs you, Marcus advises compassion, not contempt. They are not evil, they are ignorant of the good. Instead of reacting with anger, respond with understanding. This mindset turns conflict into connection and transforms judgment into grace. The more you humanize others, the more whole you become. Death is not to be feared. It gives life urgency and meaning. Meditating on death isn't morbid, it's clarifying. Marcus constantly reminded himself that life is short, fragile, and fleeting. This awareness makes every moment sacred. You do not have infinite time, so why waste it on pettiness, worry, or superficial pursuits? Live fully now, love deeply now, serve nobly now. Let death sharpen your focus and infuse your life with purpose. Your character is your destiny. Protect it above all else. What defines you is not what happens to you, but how you respond. Reputation is others' opinion. Character is your essence. Marcus teaches us to guard our integrity like a sacred flame. No matter how chaotic the world becomes, never betray your values. Virtue is the one possession no one can take. Choose courage over comfort, truth over popularity, and you will never be poor. The obstacle is the way. Every hardship contains hidden gold. When faced with adversity, Marcus wrote, "What stands in the way becomes the way." Challenges are not blocks on your path. They are the path. Each difficulty is a test of your strength, a forge for your soul. Instead of asking, "Why me?" ask, "What is this trying to teach me?" Hardships don't break the Stoic, they build them. Don't seek applause. Seek alignment with your higher self. External validation is fleeting. Marcus reminds us that the praise of others is meaningless if it compromises your inner truth. Stop performing for approval. Instead, live in alignment with your conscience. When your actions reflect your principles, you gain something far greater than applause. Peace. Authenticity is the highest form of success. Life is brief. Live it with urgency and virtue. Do not act as if you were going to live 10,000 years. Marcus Aurelius began each day with the reminder that time is running out. This wasn't meant to instill fear, but urgency. Don't delay your growth. Don't postpone becoming who you're meant to be. Live deliberately. Speak truth. Forgive quickly. Create boldly. The clock is ticking not to scare you, but to wake you up. Accept what you cannot change with wisdom, not resistance. Life is transient, ever-shifting. Trying to control what lies beyond your grasp leads only to frustration. By practicing mindfulness, self-awareness, and meditative observation of your thoughts, you cultivate a state of graceful acceptance. Acceptance is not defeat. It is the strength to let go of resistance and embrace life as it is. Like waves crashing on the shore, challenges come and go. Meet them with an open heart, not a clenched fist. Root yourself in the present. It's the only place you can truly live. Dwelling in the past creates regret. Obsessing over the future breeds anxiety. Peace exists only in the now. By anchoring your awareness to the present moment through meditation, mindful eating, walking, or journaling, you awaken to the richness of life. Presence deepens emotional clarity. fosters self-discovery, and transforms even mundane routines into spiritual experiences. This moment is your life. Don't miss it. Cultivate humility and empathy. They are the soul's true armor. Before you criticize others, look within. Your faults mirror theirs. Humility opens you to growth. Empathy opens you to others. Listening deeply, admitting mistakes, and understanding another's pain fortifies you against life's storms. These virtues don't make you weaker, they make you wise. Through humility and empathy, we connect, evolve, and become resilient together. Practice gratitude. It reframes your entire world. Gratitude is the antidote to scarcity thinking. By consciously appreciating the beauty, people, and privileges already present in your life, you shift from lack to abundance. Journaling, expressing thanks to others, and reflecting on personal growth cultivates a mindset of joy and strength. Gratitude isn't passive, it's a powerful tool for emotional resilience and mental wealth. Turn adversity into your greatest teacher. What blocks you, builds you. Hardship is not the end, it's a beginning in disguise. When faced with adversity, you're standing before your growth edge. Reframe pain into a lesson, failure into feedback. Through a growth mindset, cognitive reframing, and drawing inspiration from others who've triumphed over trials, you transform obstacles into stepping stones. The obstacle becomes the way. Let reason, not emotion, guide your actions. Your thoughts shape your life. When you think clearly, you live powerfully. Emotional impulsivity clouds judgment, but rational thinking brings calm, clarity, and direction. Through critical thinking, self-reflection, and emotional regulation, you can navigate life's chaos with composure. Build your mental muscle daily, solve problems, question assumptions, engage in deep reflection, thought by thought. You create a resilient mind. Cultivate inner peace. It's your unshakable foundation. Your thoughts dye your soul. A peaceful mind is a powerful one. Inner peace is not the absence of chaos, but the ability to remain undisturbed within it. Engage in calming rituals, self-care, and spiritual nourishment. Develop coping mechanisms that restore you. Breathwork, walks in nature, gratitude, quiet reflection. Peace allows you to stay centered when the world tilts. Detach from externals, cling to your values instead. People, outcomes, and possessions are fleeting. Attaching your identity to them sets you up for emotional chaos. Detachment isn't coldness, it's clarity. Live rooted in what is spiritually superior, your virtues, your growth, your inner compass. Observe life with presence, not possession, accept impermanence. By aligning with your core values, you become free from the sway of the external. Keep moving forward, progress is the path to power. Don't mourn what you lack, celebrate what you have, and keep building from there. Life moves. So must you. Set meaningful goals, embrace self-compassion during setbacks, and surround yourself with support. Every small step, every small win matters. Reflection on your progress fuels motivation. Momentum creates resilience. Your forward motion is your resistance to despair. Master your perception. Your world is shaped by how you see it. Reality is not what happens, it's how you interpret it. Perception is your most powerful tool or your greatest prison. Mindfulness, cognitive restructuring, and positive social influences train your perception to be constructive rather than destructive. Challenge every inner critic. Reframe every limiting belief. Perception mastered becomes freedom attained. Perception is a choice. Train it like a muscle. Every challenge is first filtered through your perception. You cannot always control what happens, but you can control how you see it. Use tools like mindfulness and cognitive restructuring to shift negative thoughts into empowering ones. Learn to pause, observe your mental narrative, and rewrite it consciously. This practice builds not just clarity, but psychological sovereignty. Mindfulness is the gateway to freedom from reactivity. Mindfulness isn't simply a calm practice, it's a discipline of liberation. By training yourself to observe thoughts and emotions without judgment, you create space between stimulus and response. This space is where resilience is born. A 5-minute daily mindfulness practice can rewire how you respond to life. Reframe failure. It's feedback for the soul. When you catch yourself in destructive thoughts like "I failed," pause. Reframe. Say instead, "I'm learning, I'm growing. This doesn't define me." This shift builds your self-worth and neutralizes the shame that stunts growth. What you tell yourself during difficulty becomes your future self. Environment matters. Surround yourself with soul builders. You are shaped by the people and energies you interact with daily. Choose companions who embody courage, wisdom, positivity, and integrity. Their presence will uplift your own mindset. Seek conversations that expand you, not shrink you. Your community is your mirror. Growth is lifelong. Resilience is not a destination, but a devotion. These teachings aren't something you master once. They are lifelong practices. Building inner strength requires returning to the path again and again, refining your thoughts, aligning with your values, detaching from outcomes, and walking forward in presence. The journey is the becoming. Accept what you cannot change. Find peace in surrender. One of the greatest sources of suffering is resisting what life has already made unchangeable. Marcus Aurelius urges us to embrace the events life hands us with full-hearted acceptance, not passivity. True power lies not in controlling every outcome, but in surrendering to the flow of life with grace. Acceptance redirects wasted emotional energy toward constructive action, clarity, and inner peace. Start by identifying things outside your control and releasing the illusion that resisting them brings strength. It doesn't. It drains you. Only by letting go can you walk forward lighter and wiser. Detach with love. Everything is impermanent. Non-attachment is not emotional coldness. It is emotional clarity. Understand the transient nature of all things. People, success, failures, emotions. Recognizing impermanence liberates us from clinging and fear of loss. When we release our grip on outcomes and identities, we meet life with openness instead of defensiveness. Meditation, reflection, and daily reminders of impermanence help shift the mind from obsession to presence, from clinging to compassion. Learn to love deeply without trying to possess. Live now. The present moment is your only true domain. The past is unchangeable. The future is unknowable. Only the present is alive. Marcus Aurelius implores us to root ourselves in the now. The more you dwell in the past or obsess over the future, the more life slips away unnoticed. Mindfulness strengthens attention, reduces anxiety, and elevates appreciation. From eating to walking to simply breathing, bring full awareness to what you're doing. Journaling, meditation, and conscious observation of your thoughts train the mind to rest in the now, where all clarity, joy, and action originate. Cultivate humility. See yourself clearly before judging others. Before finding fault in someone else, ask, "Do I have this flaw too?" This radical humility opens the door to empathy, growth, and better relationships. Instead of pride or blame, it cultivates compassion and introspection. It dismantles ego and reminds us we are all works in progress. Humility means listening more, learning from all, and admitting mistakes without shame. It's the foundation for inner strength, not weakness. The humble grow fast because they do not resist truth. Walk in empathy, understand before reacting. Resilience isn't built by isolation. It is strengthened through connection. Empathy bridges gaps between people and creates the safety that allows others and ourselves to grow. Practice active listening. Ask deeper questions. Seek to understand pain rather than judge it. Empathy teaches emotional intelligence, the ability to respond, not just react. It brings softness to our strength and wisdom to our judgment. It is the quiet power that binds humanity together in shared struggle and healing. Practice gratitude. It changes your emotional baseline. Gratitude is an emotional reset button. It transforms lack into abundance and despair into perspective. Marcus reminds us to wake up with appreciation for breath, thought, love. Gratitude journaling, intentional expressions of appreciation, and reflective meditation shift our attention toward life's overlooked blessings. It's not just a feel-good practice, it's a foundation for joy, health, and resilience. Gratitude amplifies strength by grounding you in the richness of the present, regardless of what's missing. See adversity as the path, not the obstacle. What stands in the way becomes the way. This isn't poetic, it's deeply practical. Every hardship, failure, or challenge contains a lesson meant to forge strength, not destroy it. Embrace difficulties as assignments for your soul. Ask, what is this teaching me? What skill or truth must I uncover here? Reframing adversity turns pain into power. The growth mindset Marcus embodies teaches us that discomfort is not the end. It's the beginning of mastery. Be guided by reason. Your thoughts shape your world. The quality of your life is the quality of your thoughts. Stoicism trains us to think clearly, not impulsively. Practice critical thinking. Question assumptions. Challenge emotional distortions. Pause before reacting. Use logic as a compass in chaos. Deep breathing, journaling, and debate can sharpen your clarity. When emotion clouds the mind, step back and filter your response through reason. Rationality isn't cold, it's liberating. It brings consistency to your decisions and peace to your emotional world. Cultivate inner peace. Your mind is your sanctuary. Your thoughts dye your soul. Turbulent thoughts create a turbulent life. Cultivate inner peace through stillness, intentional solitude, nature, creative flow, and spiritual practice. Inner peace isn't the absence of chaos. It's the ability to remain unshaken in its presence. It allows you to observe thoughts, not be ruled by them. To choose calm over reaction. Make time daily for peace-building rituals. A peaceful person can move mountains because they are no longer moved by fear. Detach from external validation. Anchor in your inner truth. Stop building your identity on opinions, possessions, and outcomes. They are fleeting. Anchor yourself in what is spiritually superior, in your values and inner compass. Detachment means freedom, not disconnection. It means staying rooted in self-worth regardless of applause or criticism. Practice self-reflection. Define your values and regularly ask, am I living from the inside out or the outside in? You become unshakable not by controlling the world, but by mastering the one within. Keep moving forward. Let momentum become your medicine. Marcus reminds us not to long for what we lack, but to cherish what we have, and to use that appreciation as fuel to continue progressing. Stagnation breeds despair. Movement regenerates hope. Even the smallest forward action done mindfully and aligned with your values restores a sense of control and purpose. Perseverance doesn't mean pushing with force. It means flowing steadily with intention. Gratitude keeps your inner fire alive during difficult times, while movement keeps the mind from collapsing into helplessness. Progress is medicine. Stagnation is poison. Embrace the journey of progress, not perfection. True resilience is built not from flawless performance, but from embracing the process. The Stoic path isn't about becoming invincible, it's about becoming deeply aware and responsive. Each misstep is part of the unfolding. Judge less, observe more. See your life as a path of refinement. Growth is often invisible, non-linear, and humbling. Keep showing up to your values, and the path will open, step by step. Let the journey be the goal. Reflect regularly. Review is the furnace of transformation. Without self-examination, wisdom is impossible. Marcus practiced nightly reflection, not for guilt, but for learning. Daily review of your actions, thoughts, and motives builds self-awareness and course correction. It transforms each day into a training ground for mastery. What did I do well today? Where did I fall short? What will I improve tomorrow? These questions, repeated consistently, shape character and deepen alignment with purpose. Introspection is not indulgent, it is essential. Develop self-compassion. It is strength in disguise. The Stoic is not harsh with the self. They are honest and kind. Self-compassion isn't weakness, it's fuel. When setbacks arise, don't attack yourself, support yourself. Treat your inner struggle as you would a wounded friend, with courage and care. This practice allows recovery, not rumination. It helps you maintain momentum rather than being paralyzed by shame. Stoicism without compassion becomes cruelty. Stoicism with compassion becomes unshakable resilience. Choose your circle wisely. Support amplifies strength. Your environment affects your mind. Marcus knew that being surrounded by virtuous people elevates one's own thinking. Seek relationships that reflect your values, not just your comfort zones. People who challenge you, hold you accountable, inspire your growth. These are true allies on the Stoic path. Supportive communities strengthen resolve, offer perspective, and remind you that you're not alone in your pursuit of excellence. Reframe your inner dialogue. Your thoughts narrate your fate. Your self-talk becomes your worldview. Learn to catch and challenge destructive thoughts. Replace "I can't handle this" with "I am being strengthened by this." Language sculpts experience. The Stoic speaks to themselves not with delusion but with direction. Reframing is not denial, it's reinterpretation toward truth, growth and capability. What you tell yourself in hard moments determines whether you fall or rise. Use role models. Borrow the strength of the wise. Marcus often reflected on those he admired and internalized their virtues. You don't have to reinvent the path. Walk in the footprints of giants. Study the lives of the wise, the courageous, the unbreakable. Let their stories anchor you when your own hope wavers. Mentorship, direct or distant, expands your possibilities. You begin to realize, I too can embody this greatness. Build spiritual fortitude, anchor beyond the material. Marcus repeatedly turns attention inward, toward the soul, virtue, and something greater than fleeting pleasure. Spiritual strength isn't about religion, it's about inner orientation. When your identity is rooted in values, not vanity, in purpose, not possessions, you become unshakable. Develop this through solitude, meditation, journaling, or simply asking what truly matters. What would I die to defend? That is your spiritual center. Return to it daily. Let go to grow. Resistance delays rebirth. What are you clinging to that's already gone? What identity are you defending that no longer serves you? Marcus teaches us to embrace change not with dread but with dignity. Shedding the old allows the emergence of the new. Detachment is not withdrawal, it's readiness. Readiness to evolve. Every emotional breakdown, every shattered expectation is a call to transform. Answer it. Your thoughts create your life. Choose them wisely. The happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts. This final lesson is the cornerstone. Everything begins in the mind. Your suffering, your serenity, your story. Train your thoughts like a warrior sharpens a blade. Feed them truth. Clean them daily. Don't let fear, resentment, or comparison poison them. With consistent discipline, your mind becomes a sanctuary, your greatest tool for freedom, purpose, and joy. Perception is power. Reality is shaped from the inside out. Life doesn't happen to us. It happens through us. The way we interpret events becomes more powerful than the events themselves. A challenge is only as painful as the meaning we attach to it. Marcus Aurelius teaches that perception is not fixed, it is moldable. By mastering our inner narrative, we reclaim the power to turn pain into purpose, setback into strategy, and loss into learning. The Stoic doesn't deny reality, but redefines it, asking not, why is this happening to me, but how can I use this? Your reality isn't dictated by facts alone, but by your framing of those facts. Train your mind to see opportunity in adversity, and you'll rise where others fall. Accept what you cannot change. Radical peace is found in surrender. There is profound power in surrender, not passive giving up, but the active acceptance of reality as it is. Trying to control the uncontrollable leads only to exhaustion and resentment. The Stoic path is to see fate clearly and still love what it brings. Acceptance does not mean we stop striving, but we stop suffering over what lies outside our reach. By letting go of resistance, we unlock calm. When you stop trying to force life to obey your desires, You free yourself from anxiety. Peace emerges not when everything is under control, but when you stop needing it to be. Anchor in the present. This moment is all you ever truly own. Worry is a misuse of imagination. Regret is living in a time that no longer exists. We drain our lives away in places our bodies cannot follow, the past and the future. Marcus teaches us to return again and again to the now. The present is where action, joy, clarity, and change live. It's not just a moment, it's a temple. In it is the power to forgive, to act, to heal. Mindfulness is not some abstract ritual. It is the disciplined return to the only place where life actually happens. When you master the present, you stop fearing the future and stop clinging to the past. You begin to live. Practice humility and empathy. Self-awareness expands through others. Every judgment you place on someone else is a mirror, asking you to look within. Before we criticize, we must reflect. What in me resembles what I reject in them? Humility is not weakness, it's clarity. It's knowing you're not above mistakes and that everyone carries unseen burdens. Empathy, then, is strength. To understand another's pain without absorbing it, to offer grace instead of condemnation. This is what strengthens the human bond. You do not grow by standing above others. You grow by meeting them as equals, and in doing so expanding your understanding of yourself. Cultivate daily gratitude. Your blessings are your fuel. Gratitude is not just a feel-good practice, it's a survival strategy for the soul. In a world that constantly tells you what you lack, gratitude anchors you in what you already have. Marcus reminds us that to simply breathe, think, love, and live is a privilege. When you begin to count your blessings, your burdens lose their weight. Every sunrise becomes a miracle. Every hardship becomes a teacher. Gratitude doesn't make problems disappear. It makes you bigger than them. It sharpens vision, lifts spirit, and restores the will to keep moving forward, no matter the odds. Embrace adversity. It's the training ground for great. What blocks the path becomes the path. Life's difficulties are not detours, they are directives. Every setback is a forge in which strength is hammered into being. Marcus Aurelius urges us not to avoid pain, but to meet it with open eyes and open hands. Struggle builds capacity. Suffering, when met with intention, sculpts resilience. You are not made weaker by hardship. You are carved into something deeper, fuller, and more unshakable. Let your obstacles become your invitation to rise. Be guided by reason. Train your mind to lead, not follow. Emotions scream. Reason whispers. The Stoic trains their mind not to suppress feeling, but to govern it with wisdom. Every decision should pass through the filter of clarity, evidence, and values. Rational thinking isn't cold, it's liberating. It frees you from emotional whiplash and impulsive regret. When you train your mind to think clearly under pressure, you become a leader, not just of others, but of yourself. Marcus teaches us, the quality of your life is a direct reflection of the quality of your thoughts. Make them noble, make them yours. Cultivate inner peace. It is your most priceless armor. When chaos reigns outside, peace must be forged inside. Inner peace is not the absence of hardship, but the refusal to let hardship control your inner state. Marcus shows us that calm isn't found. It's created. It comes from alignment with your values, from releasing what you can't control, and from protecting your mental space. Meditation, stillness, nature, reflection, all these are tools. But the goal is deeper, to be able to walk through the storm with an undisturbed heart. Inner peace is not a luxury, it's your lifeline in a world that never stops shaking. Practice detachment. Freedom is found in letting go. Attachment is the root of much suffering. Attachment to people, possessions, titles, outcomes. The Stoic detaches not from love, but from clinging. To love without possession. To strive without desperation. To live without needing life to obey your ego. That is true freedom. Marcus invites us to focus on the soul, not on circumstances. Detachment is not coldness, it's clarity. It means knowing what truly matters and letting the rest fall away. It's the practice of not being controlled by anything you cannot control. Keep moving forward. Progress is sacred. The Stoic path is not about achieving perfection. It's about enduring forward. Marcus calls us to continue even when the road is hard, unclear or slow. What matters is that you do not stop. Growth is a quiet, invisible act, a seed pushing through darkness toward the light. You may not see the changes daily, but they are shaping you. Celebrate your effort. Reflect on your progress. Refuse to let setbacks define you. Perseverance is not brute force. It's silent devotion to what matters most. Keep going, not because it's easy, but because it's worth it. Don't seek validation. Anchor your worth within. The moment you hinge your self-worth on another's approval, you give away your freedom. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, your dignity is not up for public vote. The Stoic lives by inner values, not outer applause, detached from the craving to be liked, admired, or understood by all. Because no one who ever lived with purpose was universally accepted. You must trust your conscience more than compliments. Stand firm in your principles even when no one notices, praises, or agrees. Authenticity isn't loud, it's loyal to itself, regardless of the world's noise. Live according to nature. Align with what is real, not ideal. To live in accordance with nature, as the Stoics taught, is to stop resisting the truths of human existence. Impermanence, imperfection, interdependence. It's about living simply, harmoniously, and consciously. Marcus urges us to ask not, what do I want, but what is natural and right for a human being. It means aligning with virtue, embracing reason, and cooperating with reality, not fighting it. When you live against nature, you suffer. But when you align with truth, simplicity, and responsibility, you experience wholeness. Let go of envy. It poisons the soul. Envy is the refusal to honor your own journey. It traps your focus on someone else's path and blinds you to your own blessings. Marcus Aurelius reminds us that what others have has nothing to do with your potential. Their light does not dim yours. Stoicism teaches us to rejoice in others' success, without comparing or condemning ourselves. The cure for envy is gratitude for your own gifts and purpose, which keeps your eyes on your lane. Envy shrinks you, purpose expands you. Choose expansion. Use your mortality as fuel. Life is urgent, not infinite. You are not promised another breath. Marcus repeatedly meditated on death, not to cultivate fear but clarity. Awareness of mortality sharpens focus. It ends procrastination. It removes the trivial. Every day becomes precious when you remember it could be your last. Rather than wasting time chasing status or waiting for the perfect moment, the Stoic acts now, speaks the truth now, loves now. Death, seen rightly, is not a threat but a teacher. It whispers, live while you're alive. Do your duty. Let virtue be your highest reward. In a world chasing applause, power, and comfort, the Stoic chooses duty. Marcus lived by the question, what is the right thing to do? Not what do I feel like doing. Your duty, whether to family, craft, conscience, or cause, is sacred. It isn't glamorous, but it builds character. Duty grounds you when emotions sway, when temptations lure, or when you want to quit. Let your fulfillment come not from recognition, but from knowing you honored your role with integrity. Speak less, mean more. Words are sacred tools. To speak stoically is to speak with intention, not indulgence. Words can heal or harm, clarify or confuse, uplift or degrade. Marcus reminds us to say only what needs to be said truthfully, respectfully, and briefly. Avoid gossip, complaint, or flattery. Practice silence until your words are worthy. When you speak, make it count. One honest sentence can do more than 100 clever ones. In the Stoic tongue, wisdom whispers and ego shouts. Choose to whisper with meaning. Master your impulses. They're not your commands. The Stoic does not deny emotions, but neither does he obey them blindly. Anger, desire, fear. They arise but do not rule. Marcus Aurelius practiced watching his impulses arise, like clouds passing the sky of the mind. To master them is not to suppress them, but to delay reaction long enough for wisdom to respond instead. You are not your urges, you are the awareness behind them. Freedom begins the moment you pause, breathe, and choose a higher response. Build resilience through voluntary discomfort. Comfort makes you soft. Challenge sharpens you. Marcus Aurelius believed in exposing himself to difficulty not just when life imposed it, but through self-imposed discipline. Voluntary discomfort, fasting, waking early, cold exposure, restraint builds inner toughness. When you train in hardship by choice, you become unshakable when it comes uninvited. Stoicism is not about suffering, it's about preparation. You do not fear storms when you've already stood in the wind willingly. Forgive often, it liberates you. Anger may feel justified, but it enslaves. Marcus teaches that vengeance, resentment, or grudge-holding is self-poisoning. Forgiveness is not approval of wrongdoing. It's release from its grip. You forgive because peace matters more than pride. Because healing is more important than history. Forgiveness is not weakness, it's choosing sanity over bitterness. You can't change the past, but you can free your future. Let go, not because they deserve it, but because you do. Seek wisdom, not opinion. Truth is not a popularity contest. Popular voices often echo confusion. Wisdom often whispers alone. Marcus reminds us to pursue truth through deep thought, reason, and moral clarity, not by following crowds. Wisdom is timeless, trends are not. Don't be swayed by applause or fear of standing alone. Seek out teachers, not influencers. Study thinkers, not trends. Think more than you consume. Act more than you opine. True wisdom comes not from what's loud, but from what's lasting. Train your mind daily. Mental discipline is spiritual armor. Just as the body needs movement, the mind needs discipline. Marcus Aurelius trained his thoughts like a soldier sharpens his blade. The Stoic doesn't wait for peace to arrive. He creates it through inner order. Discipline means questioning your assumptions, redirecting your focus, and staying alert to inner chaos before it breeds outer collapse. Train your mind to focus, to interpret events through reason, not fear, to pause before reacting. This isn't about becoming robotic, it's about becoming unbreakable. A trained mind is calm under fire, clear under pressure, and humble in power. Avoid complaining. It changes nothing and weakens you. To complain is to rehearse powerlessness. Marcus did not indulge in self-pity or grumble at fate. He sought solutions, meaning or silence. Complaining keeps the wound open. It turns the mind outward, toward blame instead of inward, toward strength. The Stoic acknowledges difficulty, but wastes no energy in moaning. Every moment spent complaining is a moment wasted, not solving, adapting, or evolving. Speak only to build, guide, or clarify. Everything else is noise. Serve the greater whole. You are part of something vast. You are not just an individual. You are a thread in the vast tapestry of nature, community, and history. Marcus taught that we should act as parts of the cosmic whole, not isolated fragments. This means living not just for self-interest, but for serve to contribute, uplift and harmonize with others is not just noble, it is natural. You find meaning when your life ripples outward. Ask not only, what do I want, but what does the whole require of me? True fulfillment comes when your life becomes useful beyond your own needs. Choose virtue over comfort. It's the only true wealth. Comfort fades, applause ends, fame disappears. But virtue, your moral strength remains. Marcus urges us to pursue courage, justice, temperance, and wisdom, even when they cost us ease or praise. The Stoic does not chase what feels good in the moment. They choose what's right in the long run. True wealth is living in such a way that you respect yourself deeply. No pillow is softer than a clear conscience. Choose character over convenience. Always. Let your actions speak. You are what you do, not what you say. Words without integrity are wind. Marcus reminds us that our values are shown in our actions, not in our aspirations or declarations. Stoicism is not a theory to admire, but a practice to embody. Speak less of who you are, show it. Let your discipline be seen in your work, your humility in how you treat others, your strength in how you endure. Live so fully in alignment that even silence becomes your testimony. Accept your fate, but shape your response. Fate may bring storms, but how you sail is up to you. Marcus Aurelius didn't preach fatalism. He taught active acceptance. Accept what comes, not with resignation, but with readiness. Life throws what it will. You are here to meet it nobly. You can't control the wind, but you can adjust your sails. Accept the raw material of your life, and then sculpt it. The obstacle is not the end. It is the beginning of who you are meant to become. Take full responsibility. Freedom lives in ownership. You become free the moment you stop blaming and start owning. Marcus didn't spend time accusing others or lamenting unfairness. He focused inward. What can I do? How must I grow? What is my duty here? When you claim radical responsibility for your choices, your mindset, your responses, you reclaim power. Victimhood may feel justified, but it cages you. Stoic power comes not from control over life, but control over yourself. No one is coming. You must lead you. Observe without judgment. See things as they are. The Stoic learns to see reality without filters, fantasy or panic. Marcus trained his mind to say, this is neither good nor bad. It simply is. Judgment creates suffering. When we label events as disasters, we feed distress. Instead, describe events neutrally. I lost the job, they betrayed me. Then choose your response wisely. The power lies in perception. You cannot change what happened, but you can master how you interpret and act upon it. Death is not the enemy. Wasting life. To fear death is to miss life. Marcus meditated on death daily, not morbidly, but to awaken gratitude. He saw death as natural, inevitable, and not in our control, but wasting the present moment was inexcusable. You fear death less when you fully lived, when you love deeply, serve meaningfully, and speak truthfully. Then whenever death arrives, you meet it as a friend, not a thief. Let death remind you, today is everything. Begin again, every moment is a fresh chance. No matter how far you've strayed, you can return to the path. Marcus reminds us that each breath offers a new beginning. Guilt, regret, shame, these may visit, but they are not your identity. What matters is what you do next. You can reclaim your focus. You can choose a better thought. You can rise from failure. The Stoic warrior does not need a perfect past, only present courage. Begin again, and again. That's resilience. You are the master of your perception. Reality is shaped more by how you see than what you see. Peace begins when you stop resisting what you cannot change. True life is lived in the moment. Now is all you ever really have. Judging others reveals more about you than about them. Choose compassion over critique. Gratitude is a revolutionary act. It transforms struggle into strength. Adversity is not your enemy. It's your invitation to grow. Your thoughts are the architects of your life. Build with reason, not reaction. Inner peace isn't found. It's cultivated through mental clarity and calm practice. Let go of what doesn't belong to your soul. Detachment brings true freedom. Keep moving forward, not for perfection, but for progress and purpose. The world may push you, but your response defines your character. Stillness of mind is not weakness. It is supreme power. Every loss is a lesson in disguise, if you stay open to it. Character is not claimed. It is revealed through daily choices. No one owes you peace. Build it inside and protect it fiercely. You can't control life, but you can command your courage. Freedom comes not from escape, but from full acceptance. Speak less of your values. Live them so loudly they echo in silence. Suffering is optional when meaning is chosen. Discipline is remembering what you truly want. Master your mind or it will master you. Complaining is the anthem of the powerless. Choose action instead. Your life matters most when it serves more than just you. Virtue is the only possession that cannot be taken from you. Legacy is not written in words, but in the life you model. Fate gives you the canvas. Your response paints the masterpiece. Radical responsibility is the gateway to lasting freedom. Seeing clearly is the first step toward living wisely. Death is not the tragedy. Dying without having lived is. Every moment holds the power to begin again. Choose renewal over regret.